Riley has posted a whole bunch of stuff on Twitter. The main reason we're doing this video together as opposed to individually is because of the search volume that we're seeing. Why that SoFi search volume is going to inevitably lead to more members for Q4 earnings. Google search trends has a strong correlation with actual results in the earnings calls, because the more people land on your page, the more people are likely to convert from that experience, and so on and so forth. What we've been seeing here is SoFi, ever since the mid to end of December, has had some fantastic search volume. They're actually breaking out of their norms. So this is a post by Michael Rowland on December 31st. He spent his New Year's posting SoFi content, posting SoFi high yield savings, Google search traffic, showing that it is at an all-time high in the US over the past 12 months. So a lot of people are attracted to that high APY. Now we're sitting at 3.75 on the savings account. That is one of the most tantalizing offers in the market out there. So it makes kind of sense that the search volume is really high. We also have SoFi Bank, interesting search term here, SoFi Bank. Over the past 5 years, that is reaching peak interest over time in the United States. And the reason why we're filtering by the US is because SoFi only operates in certain jurisdictions. Why would we muddy the findings? If, let's say, I'm from Canada and I'm searching SoFi, I can't buy that product there. My search wouldn't equate one-to-one to an actual conversion for me as a member. But in the US, it would. So that's why we're filtering by the US. And Michael here has posted a follow-up post on January the 8th, just responding to his original post for SoFi Bank, saying that the search interest has been growing exponentially. Maybe Anthony Noto could see the momentum and knew to buy. So he's actually trying to connect some dots here around Anthony Noto's purchase, around that 3.75 savings APY. And people are starting to notice that and searching more and more for SoFi Bank specifically. The reason I'm on with Riley is because I wanted to talk through some of the numbers that Riley made in this post on January 8th yesterday, and I wanted to sort of get his take on the Google search traffic in general, the 3.75 APY, and how that corresponds to member growth, how that corresponds to the rate of growth of members, and what we can start to expect from Q4 numbers. So Riley, you want to walk us through just this initially, and then we can just jump into a conversation?
Yeah. So back in March of 2022, SoFi in total had about like 1 billion in deposits. 6 months later, it went up to 5 billion. SoFi's main strategy right now is to get as many people in the door. So to get more deposits, I saw this tweet yesterday where it said like SoFi's APY, the 3.75 APY, is better than some dividend stocks. That's actually true. So like we know from Anthony Noto and the way he's been talking about getting people in the door, they're maximizing deposits, and they want to get as many deposits because it lowers their cost on lending. Back in March, they were at like 1 billion deposits, and 6 months later, they increased it to 5 billion. And if you look at that chart, be hitting the 5 million member mark in Q4, like that's 100% guaranteed going to happen. My anticipation is that we're going to actually get 500,000 members, and this will be the first time we don't dip below that number. SoFi has too good of a product for them not to be growing this fast, especially with this 3.7% APY. They should be growing like fire right now. Not a lot of banking products out there that offer this competitive rate for all the products that SoFi has. There's only been one time where we went over 500,000. I'm suspecting this will be the first quarter where we don't go below 500,000. That's my take.
That's a very bullish take. So, okay, let's break this. Let's break this down. So you mentioned the deposits going from 1 billion to 5 billion. A lot of that has been as a consequence of the bank charter really ramping up and SoFi ramping up their offering in terms of the APY. As the Fed continues to increase rates, personal loans is going to benefit from that because SoFi just collects more money, and SoFi wants to have a lot of cash on hand. So they're going to increase the savings APY so that more deposits are made in SoFi and more direct deposit members enter that flywheel ecosystem. Looking here at members broken down on this very nice exponential curve on the total members, the per quarter members, and also the rate of growth per members. Just doing some super easy back of the napkin math, for 2022, the average really didn't pass 12% in terms of what is their incremental rate of growth from one quarter to another. And if we just plug in 9%, we'll go to like 5.2 million. If we plug in 11%, we'll go go to something like 5.3, 5.4 million. This is why Riley is saying 5 million is pretty much baked in at this point, because even if we go 7.8%, which is their lowest rate of growth, quarterly basis, that's still over 5 million. At really 5 million in this next quarter for SoFi, total members is something that's almost baked into the product unless something catastrophic happens. And remember, Q4 of 2021 was also their biggest quarter ever. And a lot of this was due to that refinancing surge because student loans were essentially canceled at the very last moment. A lot of people bit the bullet essentially and thought that student loans were resuming in early 2022. And so what did they do in Q4 of 2021? They refinanced their loan, and then that's how you get a lot of these numbers here. So if Q4 is traditionally a strong month, you can see Q4 2021, 17.8% growth quarter over quarter, of course, for members. Q4 2020, 23% growth. Q4 2019, 13.2% growth. Well, yeah, it kind of makes sense that you're going to be over 5 million members. The question is like 5.2, 5.3, 5.4. It really depends, especially because you see the rate per quarter growth has slowly been increasing. Now, of course, this is a really skewed metric because this is not as a percentage. As a percentage, you can see this decline from 2021 onto 2022. But on aggregate, it's easier for them to add 400 or 500,000 members when they have 5 million than it is for them to do that when they have 1 million. And so that's why I say this is kind of a skewed number because, of course, it's growing per quarter because their total members is higher and higher and higher. The reason why we wanted to jump on and make this video were these Google trends, especially in the last couple of months, in the last couple of quarters. Search volumes are at all-time highs, and ultimately that is going to lead to more and more members for SoFi. The more eyeballs, the more traffic you get on the website, inevitably that's going to equate to more members in the SoFi ecosystem. And that's so much more important, right? Because Riley, as we've talked about in the SoFi Weekly podcast, December was a huge month. They rolled out options, they rolled out buy now, pay later. And so you have now this perfect storm of, on one side, because of the macro that's going on and because of the 3.75 savings rate, more and more people are entering that ecosystem. But that's incrementally even more beneficial because of the products that they launched. The flywheel is so much bigger today than it was in, let's say, Q1 of 2022.
The one thing I want to make clear is that we can talk about this bank getting more members. And a lot of people that don't understand SoFi are going to say, so what? It's a bank. It gets more members because it has a higher APY. We understand that. But SoFi is going to be able to make money off of these members way more so than any other bank. These members are going to be buying multiple products from SoFi because it's easy to use in an app. People like convenience, speed, and selection. And that's exactly what SoFi is targeting. Tavis, you and I watched Technisys Core.
Yeah, Michael Haney, the head of digital core at Technisys.
Technisys is a subsidiary of SoFi. But what they're doing is building a banking core to make SoFi's operations run really cheap and also so they can build a ton of really, really cool tech. Michael Haney is like really focused on the customer, making the entire platform customer centric. Every decision is based on making the customer experience as best it can possibly be. That's why SoFi's member growth is going to be amazing because these members are going to be giving SoFi way more money and LTV, lifetime value, than any of these other banks.
You're absolutely right. And I want to just direct your attention, Riley, to this right here. This is from SoFi's Q3 earnings call. And this is exactly what we're talking about, is this productivity flywheel, which started at 1.3x and now is 4.6x. For people who just don't understand this chart, let me just explain it. The dark blue is total lending products. So this is home loan, this is a personal loan or a student loan. And then the light blue is total financial services products. So this is SoFi's Invest segment, SoFi Money, SoFi Relay, and credit cards. So you can see here the actual numbers. So the top chart is their financial services. The bottom is personal loans, student loans, and home loans here. Somebody entering SoFi's ecosystem for the first time, regardless of where they enter from, they are pushed other SoFi products. And the underlying assumption there is if that user is happy with the ecosystem, they're more willing to also take on more SoFi products. So let's say Riley took out a personal loan with SoFi. He's happy with that service, because SoFi's entire mission statement is to be a one-stop shop, Riley can then go into SoFi Money and he can open an account there. He can go into open account in a credit card. He can go into their invest product, so on and so forth. And what that does is it increases this ratio of financial services to lending products. So as of Q3 2022, there were 4.6 times more financial services products than there were lending products. What happens when SoFi introduces options trading or buy now, pay later in December? What does that Q4 number look like? Chances are it looks higher than 4.6 because there's simply more products in that ecosystem for people to cross-sell to. And so the more products SoFi introduces into their ecosystem, the higher the chances are of this productivity loop increasing, the more they can squeeze out of one single member. If they add 400,000 or 500,000, every single quarter that passes, every single year that passes, that number has much more significance because those 400 or 500,000 members can now dabble in 5 or 6 or 7 SoFi products when in 2019, 2020, they could only dabble in 1 or 2 or 3.
Take a look real closely at the very center of this page. Look how quickly the top half of SoFi's products have grown. The Invest, the Relay, the credit card, the money products, they've exploded. All those people are going to feed the bottom half of SoFi's really profitable business, the personal loans, student loans, and home loans. They're working on making their lending better, their checking and savings and credit cards and invest products better. Because right now, SoFi pays other people to run those things. So right now, the Invest platform is kind of like bare, but once they get onto their own platform, they're going to be able to build and do really cool things. Right now, SoFi has one thing that a lot of other banks don't have, and that's the automated vaults. Every time you get a paycheck, you could say, hey, SoFi, put 1% of my paycheck into this vault, and I'm going to save this for a rainy day. So it's kind of like this savings accounts, but it makes it easier to save over a long time. The third thing is the credit cards. Credit cards has not grown as much as other products that SoFi has. And the reason is it's not that competitive. It's good. It's 3%, but there's a lot of other credit cards out there that people will flock to. What happens when SoFi makes enough money and is vertically integrated and is operationally efficient to where they can release like an awesome credit card? People will not leave their bank, but they'll go out to get a credit card that has really good options. That is going to drive so many people to SoFi's platform. You're going to be getting into this ecosystem naturally without even being a SoFi member. What happens when you keep on seeing, well, damn, SoFi is offering 3.75 and my Wells Fargo account is offering me 0.01%? They're going to jump ship. They have done things that a lot of other people haven't done. They've added ETFs, the first ETF to pay you dividends weekly. They were one of the first investing platforms to offer IPO trading. And then buy now, pay later. The first bank app in America to offer a buy now, pay later solution that competes with Affirm, Afterpay, and all these other fintech companies. Like SoFi is, they're innovating on other scales, and I can't wait till they get these back end parts of their company in order because it just makes sense. It's in their DNA.
Okay, so just to wrap up this video, quick recap, what we've talked about so far. Google Trends are coming in really hot for SoFi. The main trends that are driving that activity is the 3.75% savings rate. That is now expected to translate into new member growth far in excess of 5 million total members. Riley thinks over 500,000. I don't disagree with that at all. I think that we could be seeing 500,000, if not very close to that amount, just going off of the percentage averages for the rate of growth that we saw. This is especially important today because of that cross-selling flywheel, because SoFi in December added options trading, they added buy now, pay later. The cross-selling flywheel is even bigger. And then we talked about the back-end repercussions of SoFi building the back-end before they make everything pretty, before they make everything run smooth. They actually want to build the infrastructure. And so credit cards is something that's going to benefit off that. The entire SoFi infrastructure and app is going to benefit off that. And we're looking to see insight there on the earnings call as well. I would say that this has, for the most part, been flying under the radar in terms of awareness. Aside from Michael's post, I don't see a lot of people talking about the search trends for SoFi, but I think that they are going to be pretty impactful when we estimate the numbers out in Q4. Q4 earnings is on January 30th, so definitely tune in for that. We'll be covering it on SoFi Weekly on the 30th. We could also have a special guest, and I'll also, in my channel, break down the full earnings report with my own thoughts and analysis. Riley, any final words on your end before we sign off?
Yeah, don't think of SoFi as a bank. It's not. It's a technology platform, and the DNA is to be customer focused, just like Amazon did. Jeff Bezos' main strategy, if you listen to any of his talks back in 2011, focus on the customer. If they're complaining, don't listen to your competition. Listen to the customer, because they'll tell you exactly how to build the best business possible. SoFi feels like Apple because all the products work better together and they're stickier. SoFi is going to try to grow like Amazon, where it offers services to other fintechs. And then also for consumers, it's going to feel like Costco, because like we're SoFi members. We're not bank customers. There's perks at being a member of SoFi, and you get a product that gives you back what the bank makes off of you. So SoFi is not a bank. Don't value it like that. I can't wait for Q4, and I'm still going to bet it's going to be over 500,000. Hopefully I don't look stupid.
I don't think you will. Two more small housekeeping things. Number one, on Tuesday, January 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern, we're doing a Twitter Spaces. We're both going to be on that Twitter Spaces, so definitely tune into that. And then you can feel free to ask us questions around SoFi. Number two, if you enjoyed this format, let us know, and we can do more of this similar video type. For right now, this is the Fundamentals of Investing podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I love the salute.